Tania Mallet, the glamorous Bond girl, was always known for her elegance. But what if I told you she once took things a bit too far? You see, it's one thing to be a fashion icon or a beloved actress, but it's a whole other game when you start turning heads for the wrong reasons. Oh, and she didn't stop there. She may have gone from silver screen royalty to breaking headlines, and not in a good way. What exactly happened? Buckle up, because you won't believe the chaos that ensued. The girl with the flair. Tania Mallet was born on May 19, 1941, in the vibrant seaside town of Blackpool, England. Her birth marked the beginning of a life steeped in a rich and varied heritage. She was the daughter of Olga Mironov, a Russian noblewoman and former chorus girl, and Henry Mallet, an English millionaire car salesman. Olga Mironov hailed from a distinguished Russian lineage. Her father, Pyotr Mironov, was a prominent figure in Russian society. He owned a sprawling family estate near Gzhatsk, now known as Gagarin, in Smolensk Oblast. Pyotr Mironov's noble status was further underscored by his mother, Countess Lydia Andreevna Kamenskaya. Lydia was an aristocrat in her own right and a descendant of Count Mikhail Fedotovich Kamensky, a celebrated Russian general who played a significant role in the Napoleonic Wars. This aristocratic connection added a layer of prestige and historical depth to Tania's lineage. Tania's maternal grandfather, Pyotr Mironov, was not only a member of the Russian aristocracy but also a colonel in the Imperial Russian Army. As the Russian Revolution began to unravel, Pyotr Mironov was serving as a diplomat in London. Faced with the political upheaval back home, he made the pivotal decision to remain in the UK, thus ensuring a significant shift in the family's trajectory. In terms of her immediate family, Tania Mallet had a complicated background. Her parents' marriage ended in divorce, and her mother went on to marry George Dawson, a man with a dubious reputation. Dawson's criminal activities, including a notable stint in prison for fraud, cast a shadow over the family's later years. Tania Mallet's educational journey took her across borders, with schooling in both England and France. This international education likely contributed to her later success as a model and actress, offering her a broad cultural perspective and adaptability. In her professional life, Tania Mallet was known for signing her name with a double TT, a detail that became a hallmark of her autograph. During her modeling career in 1968 with Lucy Clayton, she signed her modeling card as Tania Mallet, distinguishing her professional identity. Her familial connections extended beyond her immediate relatives. Tania was a cousin of the acclaimed actress Helen Mirren. The bond between their families ran deep, as Tania's mother and Helen Mirren's father were siblings. This connection to another prominent figure in the entertainment industry further highlighted Tania's place in a family with a significant cultural impact. From a young age, Tania showed a natural inclination towards fashion and the arts. Her striking looks and graceful demeanor caught the attention of those around her, making it clear that she had the potential for a career in modeling. Encouraged by her family and peers, Tania pursued modeling, quickly making a name for herself. Her early interest in fashion and style was not just a passing fancy, it was a passion that she nurtured as she grew older. By her teenage years, she had already begun to establish herself in the modeling world. Her exotic beauty, combined with the poise and elegance she brought to the camera, made her a sought-after model. Tania Mallet, the model. As far as Tania's modeling career is concerned, it was like something out of a movie. She's in her late teens with these stunning, exotic features that just catch everyone's eye. There's this natural elegance about her, like she was born to be in front of the camera. So soon enough, she starts getting noticed, and before you know it, she's booking jobs left and right. Tania's face is suddenly everywhere. She's gracing the covers of Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, some of the biggest fashion magazines out there. Anyone who went flipping through one of those glossy pages and seeing her looking effortlessly chic would agree that she was a timeless beauty. It's like she had this magical ability to fit every look they threw at her, from high-fashion glam to more everyday styles. And the way she carried herself, with that mix of grace and a hint of mystery, made her stand out even more. People in the fashion industry couldn't get enough of her. She wasn't just another pretty face. There was something about her that was different. Maybe it was her background, with those Russian roots giving her this unique vibe, or just the way she seemed so comfortable in her own skin. Whatever it was, she had that it factor that everyone talks about. Her modeling career didn't just boost her fame, it defined her public image. Tania became known for being more than just a beautiful woman. She was seen as an icon of elegance and sophistication. And the best part? She made it all look so effortless, like it was the most natural thing in the world for her to be one of the most sought-after models of her time. But despite dominating the world of modeling, Tania wasn't done with getting all she wanted out of life. Her acting career. Tania Mallet's foray into acting was as fascinating as it was unexpected. Despite her success in modeling, the leap to the film industry wasn't an obvious step for her, but it was a journey that added a remarkable chapter to her life story. It all began with a chance opportunity that would forever link her to one of the most iconic film franchises in history, James Bond. The story goes that Tania's stunning presence and modeling fame caught the attention of casting agents and filmmakers who were always on the lookout for fresh faces to bring to the silver screen. The producers of the James Bond series were particularly interested in finding new talent for their latest installment, Goldfinger, 1964. They were searching for someone who could embody the allure and sophistication expected of a Bond girl, and Tania's striking looks and poise made her a perfect candidate. Tania's entry into the film industry started with an audition for the role of Tilly Masterson, a character who was both beautiful and complex, driven by a desire for vengeance. The audition process was rigorous, as the Bond franchise had a reputation for casting only the best talent. Tania, despite her lack of acting experience, impressed the producers with her natural charm and screen presence. It wasn't just about looking the part. Tania had an innate ability to convey emotion, which made her stand out among the many hopefuls. Her background as a model, where she was accustomed to expressing herself through subtle gestures and facial expressions, likely helped her in this regard. When Tania was cast as Tilly Masterson, it was a significant moment not only for her career but also for the Bond series. Goldfinger was one of the most anticipated films of its time, and being a part of it meant joining a legacy of iconic characters and moments. Tilly Masterson, as portrayed by Tania, was a memorable addition to the Bond universe. The character was driven by a desire to avenge her sister's death at the hands of the film's villain, Auric Goldfinger. Tilly's determination and courage made her a standout character, even though her time on screen was relatively short. Tania's portrayal of Tilly Masterson was marked by a blend of vulnerability and strength. She brought a quiet intensity to the role, portraying Tilly as a woman on a mission, with a depth of emotion that resonated with audiences. Her performance was all the more impressive, given that this was her first major acting role. Tania managed to capture the complexities of Tilly's character, from her initial coldness towards Bond to her eventual tragic end. Despite the limited screen time, Tania Mallet's performance left a lasting impression. Goldfinger became a massive hit, and Tania's role in it cemented her place in the pantheon of Bond girls, a group of actresses who had made significant contributions to the franchise's allure. Her involvement in such an iconic film provided her with a unique claim to fame, one that continued to be recognized and celebrated by Bond fans around the world. Tania Mallet's performance as Tilly Masterson in Goldfinger received a mixed reception from critics and audiences, reflecting both the expectations placed on Bond girls and the unique challenges of transitioning from modeling to acting. Despite her limited screen time, her portrayal left a lasting impression, sparking a range of opinions that showcased her impact on the film. Critics at the time had varied reactions to her performance. Some praised her for bringing a refreshing presence to the role, noting her striking beauty and the emotional depth she brought to the character. Tania's portrayal of Tilly as a woman driven by revenge added a layer of complexity that resonated with certain audiences. Her vulnerability and strength in the face of danger were seen as commendable traits, and she was recognized for handling the emotional nuances of a character who was more than just a decorative figure in the plot. However, not all responses were entirely positive. Some critics felt that her acting, while sincere, lacked the polish and experience that more seasoned actresses might have brought to the role. Given that Goldfinger was her first major acting gig, this was perhaps to be expected. Nonetheless, her natural charm and screen presence were often cited as compensating factors. helping her to hold her own in a cast that included veteran actors like Sean Connery and Gert Frobe. The audience's reaction mirrored this critical ambivalence. Fans of the Bond series, known for their high expectations of the glamorous and often enigmatic Bond girls, were intrigued by Tania's fresh take on the role. Her portrayal of Tilly Masterson was memorable, particularly because she played a character who was not merely a romantic interest, but had her own motivations and narrative significance. The tragic end of Tilly's character left a poignant mark on viewers, underscoring the stakes and dangers inherent in the world of James Bond. The shocking decision. Following her appearance in Goldfinger, Tania Mallet made the surprising decision not to continue pursuing a career in acting. For many, this choice was unexpected, especially given the visibility and acclaim she had garnered from her role as Tilly Masterson. The Bond franchise was, after all, a cultural phenomenon, and her involvement in such a high-profile project could have opened many doors in Hollywood. Yet, Tania chose a different path, one that aligned more closely with her personal values and preferences. The decision to step away from acting was rooted in Tania's own reflections on the film industry. Despite the allure of fame and the potential for a lucrative career, she found that the world of movies was not to her taste. In interviews, she expressed discomfort with the lack of freedom she experienced on set. Unlike modeling, where she felt a greater sense of autonomy and control over her image, acting required a level of submission to directors and producers that she found unappealing. The stringent schedules, the rigid expectations, and the intense scrutiny were at odds with her desire for a more independent lifestyle. Tania's brief but impactful stint in acting left her with mixed feelings. While she appreciated the unique experiences it provided, she was candid about the limitations and frustrations she encountered. Her background as a model, where she was used to a certain level of flexibility and creative freedom, clashed with the highly controlled environment of film production. The rigidity and the lack of personal control over her portrayal on screen were aspects of the industry she found particularly challenging. On top of all that, the typecasting she feared was another significant factor in her decision. The role of a Bond girl, glamorous and often one-dimensional, could easily pigeonhole an actress, limiting her to similar roles and making it difficult to be taken seriously in more diverse and challenging parts. Tania was acutely aware of this risk. She understood that continuing down the path of acting could mean being forever defined by a single iconic role, which, despite its fame, offered little room for growth or exploration as an artist. In choosing to walk away from acting, Tania Mallet demonstrated a level of self-awareness and integrity that was rare, especially in an industry that often prizes fame and success above personal satisfaction. She returned to modeling, where she continued to excel, finding fulfillment in an arena where she felt more at home. Modeling allowed her to maintain a lifestyle she enjoyed and offered a sense of security and satisfaction that acting did not. Her decision to leave acting behind also spoke to her practical nature. The film industry, with its inherent instability and the often transient nature of roles, did not offer the steady career that modeling did. Tania valued the consistency and reliability of her modeling work, which provided her with both financial security and professional fulfillment. It was a path that aligned with her personal goals and preferences, allowing her to craft a career on her own terms. The reason behind the decision. Tania Mallet's decision to step away from acting and return to modeling in the wake of her role in Goldfinger was driven by a combination of personal dissatisfaction and financial considerations. Her brief foray into film, while undeniably high profile, was fraught with challenges that led her to reevaluate her career path. One of the primary reasons Mallet chose to return to modeling was the restrictive nature of her contract during the production of Goldfinger. As a rising star in the film industry, Mallet found herself constrained by the terms of her contract, which imposed significant limitations on her personal freedom. The contract restricted her ability to travel abroad, a major inconvenience for someone who valued the freedom to explore and experience new places. Additionally, she was unable to engage in activities she enjoyed, such as riding horses, which was another aspect of her life that she found deeply fulfilling. These restrictions were a stark contrast to the more flexible nature of her modeling career, where she had previously enjoyed a greater degree of autonomy. The film industry's demands were not aligned with her personal preferences and lifestyle, making the constraints feel particularly burdensome. The limitations placed on her freedom during the filming of Goldfinger contributed to her growing dissatisfaction with the acting profession. Financially, Mallet's experience with the film industry was equally disheartening. Despite the high profile of her role in Goldfinger, the financial compensation did not meet her expectations. Initially, she was offered a modest $50 a week for her work on the film. This amount was a considerable step down from her earnings as a model, where she had been accustomed to making significantly more money on a daily basis. After engaging in tough negotiations, she managed to increase her fee to $150 a week, but this figure still fell short of what she had been earning in her modeling career. For Mallet, the disparity between her modeling income and the film industry's compensation was not just a financial issue, but also a matter of value and recognition. The money offered for her film work was seen as inadequate compared to the lucrative modeling contracts she had enjoyed. This financial aspect further disillusioned her with the acting world, reinforcing her decision to step away from film and focus once again on modeling. Media and public outrage. Tania's decision, announced in the mid-1960s, came as a surprise to many, as she had just made a promising film debut in one of the most iconic Bond films. The media response was immediate and intense. Critics and entertainment journalists expressed disbelief and disappointment, questioning why Mallet would walk away from what many believed was a burgeoning Hollywood career. At the time, the role of a Bond girl was considered a major breakthrough opportunity, often leading to further high-profile acting roles and international fame. The media had heralded Mallet as a new rising star in the film industry, and her sudden departure from acting was seen as a significant loss. Publications speculated about the reasons behind her decision, with some attributing it to the notoriously demanding and at times exploitative nature of the film industry. Reports and articles often highlighted Mallet's talent and potential, lamenting what they saw as a wasted opportunity. Headlines like "Bond Girl Shuns Hollywood" and "From Stardom to Catwalk, Tania Mallet's Unconventional Choice" proliferated in the press. Many journalists criticized her choice, suggesting that she was turning her back on a unique chance to establish herself as a leading actress. Some even questioned her understanding of the industry's dynamics, suggesting that her decision demonstrated a lack of ambition or foresight. The public reaction was equally strong. Fans of the Bond franchise who had been captivated by Mallet's portrayal of the vengeful and tragic Tilly Masterson expressed their disappointment. Letters to entertainment magazines and fan clubs often voiced a mix of bewilderment and frustration. Some fans felt that Mallet had betrayed their expectations by not pursuing an acting career further, especially after such a promising start. Her decision to return to modeling, a profession she had been involved in before her brief stint in Hollywood, was seen by some as a retreat rather than a bold career move. Amidst the criticism, there were also voices of support and understanding. A few commentators and fans acknowledged the immense pressures faced by actresses, particularly those thrust into the spotlight by high-profile roles. Some respected her decision to prioritize her happiness and well-being over the uncertain and often grueling nature of a film career. They pointed out that modeling, where Mallet had already found considerable success, offered her a more stable and controlled professional environment. However, these more supportive perspectives were often overshadowed by the dominant narrative of disappointment and criticism. The general sentiment was that Mallet's choice was unconventional and perplexing, especially during a time when opportunities for women in entertainment were limited and fiercely contested. Reviving her modeling career. After stepping away from acting, Mallet continued to work with renowned photographers and appeared in leading fashion magazines such as Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. Her modeling work extended beyond traditional print media. She also became a familiar face in advertising campaigns for various luxury brands. Despite the changing landscape of the fashion industry, Mallet maintained a strong presence and continued to be celebrated for her timeless beauty and professionalism. In addition to her modeling work, Mallet became a respected figure within the fashion community. She was known for her intelligence and grace, often serving as a role model for younger models. Her experience in the industry and her decision to prioritize her comfort and well-being over the unpredictable nature of an acting career resonated with many in the fashion world. She occasionally spoke about the differences between the modeling and film industries, highlighting the greater sense of control and stability she felt in modeling. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Mallet's career flourished. She was admired not only for her physical beauty, but also for her professionalism and work ethic. However, little by little, as she advanced in her career, she began to live a more private life and gradually withdrew into her secluded world. Eventually, Tania Mallet passed away on March 30th, 2019, at the age of 77. The details surrounding her death are not widely publicized, but it is known that she died peacefully in her home in Kent, England. Mallet had lived a relatively private life in her later years away from the public eye. Her passing was announced by her family and friends, and she was remembered fondly by fans and colleagues for her work in both modeling and her brief, memorable role in Goldfinger.